Hello, everyone. I think you hear me well. So today I'm going to present and spend like 20 minutes, next 20 minutes for talking about the security incidents in industrial organizations. So typical like power plants, industrial plants, automotive industry, and so on. Actually, nice presentation previous. The previous presentation was nice, and I have actually similar research. And then there is another idea, maybe putting like GPS with a simple Arduino computer, and then how can you hijack it now? So this presentation will actually contain 3 parts, and one of them just in general overview of the threat landscape, second particular use case that we had in the past, and some short conclusion. So let me start from the view that we received from United States, like US ICS CERT. I think it's actually most trusted organization in the world. Since they acquire information from the thousands of the internal, from industrial organizations. I would say that the number of incidents in industrial zone completely permanently increasing from like 12 to 13 to almost double. And you can see it here. Basically, a number of the vulnerabilities detected also increasing. Our team, Kaspersky Lab ICS CERT, has been created about a year ago, and so far we're also doing the extensive vulnerability research. We discovered about 80 0 days in some particular vendors, and then we report to them, and also ICS CERT, so we contribute a little bit maybe here too. Some people question these numbers, like 55% and 37% of the cybersecurity attacks and the phishing. I would say, I would support this way, I mean this view, because of right now it's very difficult to separate between IT or like corporate zone and industrial zones. Most organizations, they try to connect to industrial zone, like control room, in order to acquire information for ERP system or SAP system. So basically, they want to control the production line. They want actually exactly marketing team or finance team. They want exactly how much the stuff they produce, and then how much supplies they need. And most often, they just interconnect the networks without even thinking about security. So in one case, just plug 2 routers without even filtering the networks, no VLANs, nothing. In other case, they don't separate networks. Some people who criticize this information, they say there is no mail service in industrial zone. I think this is a big mistake. There is, because there is no boundaries. This is a view of Kaspersky Lab ICS CERT. We base our information based on the real detection, malware detection from ICS environment. So if you see here, different countries have different colors. It means intensity of the attack. So United States probably lowest, and of course Alaska and Canada. But you see some big countries, other, like actually the dark red, had lots of incidents, like here in South America, in Asia, and Africa, and in this area too. So I would comment it as this picture maybe depicts actually the relationships between the government and the private companies. So the attitude of the government, and then a desire to solve security issue in a cybersecurity zone. So we discussed this opportunity with also government agencies like American and European and other countries. And if you have any questions, so basically our team, ICS CERT, is not a competitor to existing ones like US ICS CERT. We are a complement. So we want to actually supply data that they don't have. The problem of ICS CERT, US ICS CERT, they blind to other world. They only capable of doing stuff inside United States. But still, it's not mandatory, it's just optional. So many companies just ignore them. So if you have more questions about this, I would redirect them to our expert of government relations, like Tara Hairston. Can you please wave your hand? Yeah, she can answer any questions. She's brilliant. So a little bit more about this. You can find the report, and you can find other data on our website. So here is the, sorry, I have to edit. It's https ICS-CERT-Kaspersky.com. Here's the example of the report that we released recently in March, and you can see here like lots of useful things. So what about, like briefly, what about the source of industrial malware in industrial or control zone? we separate them between, let's say, 7 subjects, 7 buckets. And the biggest one is internet. So someone may claim there is no internet in the control zone. No, there is. And then the source of this information is, source of connection is like vendor connection, or the companies do not care about the separation or protecting the zone, or there is something like third-party contractor who actually wants to update system, or who wants to actually maintain the system, or monitoring the health of the some particular equipment. So they have a direct access just to the industrial zone. Second one is removable media. I know Stuxnet probably comes to the mind first, and this is a serious issue. So the companies, for instance, use this when they decide to update firmware on devices like PLC, programmable logic devices, or in Windows machine, Linux, and so on. I would say that in some installation we see Windows 3.1. Some may laugh, but there are no viruses for this system, right? So email client. We assume this is about 8%. I mean, we actually estimate it's about 8% of the overall problem, much less than ICS CERT, but we still see clients, and not the servers, just clients. So we intentionally separated servers. And if we separate servers, then the problem becomes less, like not 37, but 8% only. Archives, backup, yeah, accidentally maybe. Network shares, yes, this is a big concern. I don't know this is, why this number is so small. It should be like much higher. Windows backup and cloud storages. See, even cloud storages has access to the control zone. So it means power plant, you can actually get access from Google, for instance. I mean, from Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud or Microsoft Cloud. This is terrible. So next slide will show you some idea what kind of malware we detect in the environment. There is no Stuxnet, there is no some APTs and some like big names, right? Just commodity, just a random, just a garbage, just some stuff that may be infecting the system accidentally. And then some description here, like Zbot, for instance, like banking trojans, CryptoWall, Sality. Actually, Sality is famous one because it uses same exploit like Stuxnet, famous Microsoft LNK vector. So next slide, I don't know if you can read these numbers, so you can find them all in the report on our website. Mostly problematic domains are written here, so I'll actually depict here. One of them, just random numbers, will be a part of my following conversation. Again, you can see like the prevalence and the numbers. The IP may change. Maybe daily, maybe weekly. So it's like unpredictable. Exploits by vulnerabilities. It's done by expert. I don't know if he's not here. If here, Artyom, please can you stand up? And then if you have question, please ask him. No, it's not here. So the first one is Windows vulnerability. This is true type. Vulnerability that been discovered in 2014. So it's number 1, 3 years old. And number 2 is Adobe vulnerability. It is 14, is also 3 years old. And next one is RTF parser issue. It is 7 years old almost. So you can probably see how the industrial companies install the updates and firmware updates. So most often they don't do it at all, or they do it for only limited subset of environment, or they may do it while the system is in like maintenance mode. A little bit more about the quality of the updates. We did some research regarding the Rockwell Scada, RS-View 32, RS-Links, and then factory talk. And you can see it's actually minimum of 50% not patched, the system not patched, since this is already 2 years old vulnerability. For RS-Links, it's more and at risk. So given that Rockwell is number 1 in the United States and Siemens is a global player. So the conclusion here is actually industrial companies do not take security as a problem, they take it as a tax. Most often we hear such questions, such issues like, I already bought equipment, I already spent $1 million. Why should I buy another piece of software just for securing that software? they don't understand. And then some cases, then they lose connectivity, they lose equipment, they lose productivity, and then they like scratch their heads and then, yeah, maybe we should spend some little bit more money just to avoid the loss of the whole plant. And here's the short story, and then and again, if you're interested, we can talk afterwards. So use case. The problem is organization complained about losing connectivity and network traffic in industrial zone, in control room. So basically in the room that controls, let's say, power plant, the turbines, the pumps, the actuators, the sensors. So can you imagine, there is a huge hydro plant and the intake pipe is controlled by Windows 3.1. And then any virus can work on it perfectly. So what happens if the intake pipe open too wide? That, probably disaster. Like we have similar issue back in Siberia, like maybe 10 years ago. Then 32 people were killed, and then there was a flood. Like some villages, some cities were just flashed out. So they complain about the network outage. Fortunately, the PLC programmable logic controller, they work the way that they can operate autonomously, so without the control of the operator. Unfortunately, in this case, the operator won't be able to see the data, like no telemetry. But the system will still operate. So the owner of this facility complained that there's something happening, sudden happening. So like PLCs, like Schneider and Siemens and Rockwell, they lose connectivity. Their main CPU is still working, but the Ethernet card, network card, completely dead. After we investigated, we were involved in this case, we figured out the first issue is network is completely flat. No separation between corporate zone and industrial zone. No separation between, everyone can have access there. The main controller are acting as a bunch of other, they provide bunch of other services, no role separation, same password for everyone, sometimes a blank password, blank username. Yeah, actually definitely here. And then using of the weak NTLM v1 hash. Both DC were infected because they connected to the internet. I can't imagine, DC, the main controller connected to the internet freely, without antivirus, without firewall, without any protection. Also, the same service provide SMB network share, RPC login, connection to Scada, HMI, PLC components, and so on. Attack vector, we figure out that the infection is living in the network for about 5 years. So 5 years of permanent DOS on the internal components. Botnet, then actually they suddenly disconnected. I don't know why, they can't explain. And botnet try to escape from this network, and then it tried to find one way and failed another way. So basically creating huge DOS attack against internal components just to find the opportunity to go outside and connect to the CNC. So just in case if you're not familiar with industrial environment, I'm bringing here like a list of network protocols we detected in this network. The total about 43. But actually more, about 50 took more protocols. And here is some map, maybe just you can understand it. So just universe, first universe, second universe, another universe, the sun and the planet orbiting it. So the planets are PLC controllers. You can see it's not flat, it just, it is flattest network I've seen in my life. So there are about 300 planets and then one sun. It's actually NTM service, a time management server. And others, you can see the line right here, if you can. The line goes like this. Another universe. All comes from DNS server, the infected servers. So historian, SQL database. So on this page, actually, I enlarged the picture. NTM server, historian, HMI, SQL, DNS, HMI. So basically, all network is visible for malware infection. And the fact that the attacker didn't do much because they probably didn't understand that infected industrial facility, like real big plant. So it means the commodity malware infected the plant, and the hackers didn't know what to do with it. So here, again, like another nice view of domain controller first and domain controller second, and you can see like clear connection with all other components, no separation. This is probably another like Cisco router, like a sinkhole. What about RPC net logon map? So this actually, this protocol is used to automatically log in the machines to the domain. So you can, and again, you can see the all PLC servers around this. So no separation, no network segregation, no Cisco routers, nothing, just flat. If we talk about the DC now, so domain controller 1, domain controller 2, and then all of these are internal IPs, some of them connecting to the command and control center of this malware. And then they figure out by the network traffic, it is connecting to this pool of the servers. And then it's been known as the place where lots of types of malware is hosting. So like Hupigon, other Zigos, and including Zbot too. So basically the company is infected with a worm that attacking it itself, trying to download updates. And then it's not corporate network, they've been protected well, much better. It is control room. In control room, you have a freely access to every PLC, every web server, Scada server, HMI, workstation, engineering workstation, all kind of equipment. And equipment is so fragile, then if you run just nmap, it will hang some controllers. So it means the production will stop, or explosion may happen, or spill, like oil spill can happen. There is issue number 6, query to malicious domains. You can see probably how fast it will query the domains, like at least twice a second, if I'm not mistaken, and this is name of domain. So imagine like 2 servers querying all kind of target twice a second. Just to show the scale of this problem, I created that small picture. You can see that the center, the suns here and there, are DC controllers, infected DC controllers. The green stuff are PLC, the fragile industrial computers. Blues are workstations, so it's up like here. And pink others. So the main controller and malware has unlimited access to all industrial computers, all industrial servers, Scada, HMI, OPC server, and so on. This company was lucky because the hackers and the remote intruders didn't want to attack them, or maybe they didn't understand, as I said again. Issue number 6, username blank. So you can see blank username and blank password, so 0. So what it means for the company, again, there is unlimited access to any server that responds to SMB queries. So basically, I can download and upload files, I can steal the documentation, I can install backdoor, I can install the password sniffer, or ruin the system completely. And of course, weak NTLM hash version 1. So you can see that hash, I removed the part of the code, so it's not actually complete hash. You can probably crack this code and get the password easily. So just wrap up my presentation. Conclusion is there is an of incident in industrial zone, basically flat networks, no attention to cybersecurity measurement and security suggestion and feedback and best practice, ignorance of this practice. So basically, most of the companies take the security as a tax. They don't care about that. They don't want to actually invest money in the security unless they get attacked. Second, they use PLC devices and their network cards as hubs, as routers, as switches. That was another problem why the system was overloaded and some controller just died. Network communication is out of control. When we asked the admin, can you please provide us the map, the network map of your system? He failed it. So we brought him the network map and he was, oh, thank you. Straight connection to SMB servers, file sharing, offered from infected domain controller. No AV, no firewall, no separation, segregation, whatever, between the segments. DC servers also shares like too much roles. There are no passwords, there are no username, just all blank.
DC connected directly to the internet, allowing the intruder to infect the system and then have a free access to all other internal systems. Patching, of course, never. Who knows what the patching is? And then other issues. So I think we're done, and then let me go. Don't rush. Yeah. This slide. So if you take this number down, please, you can find the document and then all I just described, all I just talking about. Thank you very much. I'm done.